the world's greatest democracies, and their leaders did not do more to save us. History shows that American and British leaders were confronted with ample evidence of how the Germans murdered, destroyed the Warsaw Ghetto, and secretly operated death camps. But Roosevelt and Churchill did not respond to wish as I wish they would have. Because of this, I and my fellow survivors always feel that we were abandoned by the world in our hour of need. I know that similar feelings of abandonment is felt by victims of genocide that occurred all over the world. Like the Jews during the Holocaust, most of them were not defended by the world leaders, community leaders, or their own neighbors in their times of need. Just as I did in Sobibor, all of us must call up more hope in our fighting spirit to preserve both our lives and the lives of our fellow human beings. We cannot continue to abandon our fellow human beings. Sobibor stands as a warning on what happens when we allow barbarism to grow out of control. And Sobibor also stands as a reminder of the power we all have to stand up against hatred and genocide wherever they are found in the world. We owe this to the millions of people who became the people for us. We owe this to ourselves. We owe this to our children. This lesson is beautifully embodied by a teacher in one of my favorite Jewish stories, which I will now close with. The story is told by a middle-aged man named Chaim. Chaim was walking down the sidewalk one day when he encountered the rabbi who had taught him years ago when he was a schoolboy. I know the rabbi was very old, but both recognized each other. The rabbi asked, "So Chaim, what have you done with your life?" Chaim replied, "I have a lovely wife, 2 beautiful children, and an excellent job." Then the rabbi asked, "So Chaim, what have you done with your life?" So Chaim, thinking that the old rabbi must have lost some of his hearing ability, gave the same answer, but in a louder voice. "I have a lovely wife, 2 beautiful children, and an excellent job." The rabbi then said, "Chaim, I heard you the first time. The reason I ask you the question again is because you did not answer my question. When I asked you what you have done with your life, you told me what God had done with your life. Now tell me what you have done. Have you continued to learn and to grow and to improve yourself and the world around you? And to this I would add, have you continued to embody the courage and the humanity of the heroic fighters of Sobibor?" Thank you very much.
He has to stand next to me. I want you to stand by the mic. You want to stand or you want to sit down? Okay, go ahead, you get on that side. First of all, we want to make sure everybody understands we want to take questions from the audience, and the rabbis are passing out right now some note cards. I have some questions that I have formulated along with Rabbi Epstein, but certainly some feedback from the audience, and he is prepared to go ahead and answer questions. First of all, how long have you been going around telling your story?
I've been doing this for the last 25 years. But before I couldn't speak about the Holocaust because many survivors cannot speak about the Holocaust. It's too dramatic to go through all the experiences. But I decided that time is running out, and we must tell the story, especially to the young generation. That they should know what happened about the fighting spirit of the Jewish people. I'm very happy and I'm very glad that I'm doing this, and I hope I will improve the world on a small scale.
One of the questions that some of us had was, your generation is, in a few years, there won't be many of the survivors left. Who's going to tell the story then? What would you like to see? What would you like to anticipate that we're going to do, the next generations?
Well, I try to inspire my experiences to my family. And my children, my son in California, he goes with me sometimes to speak as a second generation survivor, how we should remember not only how they died, how they lived, the contribution they could give to the world in medicine in order to cure cancers, if they would be alive. So my mission is to go around over the globe, especially to the universities and schools, and to tell my inspirational story about the fighting spirit of the Jewish people. And I am telling them that I was your age when I went through all the experiences. And your mission is to tell the children and grandchildren that you met Philip Bialowitz. Thank you.
Would I understand that you testified in some of the war crime trials? Could you share that experience with us?
I testified to many trials in Germany. I came once to a trial. His name is Frenzel, and in the Gestapo he took the best lawyers because he had so much gold and jewelry. They hired the best lawyers, and the lawyers interrogated me like I would be on trial. So I asked the judge, I came here as a witness, who was on trial? The lawyer said, if you put on a uniform from profile, I might recognize you too. So he came over to me during the recess, and he apologized and said, I'm not a Nazi, I have Jewish friends. And I said to him, Waldheim, the Secretary General, also had Jewish friends. If you speak to me as a teenager, when I was in Sobibor, you have to speak to Silk. And the judge stopped him, he should go easy with me.
As a lawyer, I can understand. I'm pretty sure what you had to go through. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, and I testified also in Damianuk's trial in Munich. And, okay, the people think that there's a statute of limitation. There's no statute of limitation for people that committed crime and genocide. So there should be no statute of limitation. And I asked him, why did you come to Sobibor for vacation? You came for a purpose, to kill and to murder. But eventually he only had a few years prisoner, but he died in Munich. Thank you.
I understand that you had a dialogue with Klaus Wallister, is that it? Whose father was an SS officer and who was killed at Sobibor. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
When I came to Sobibor for one of the anniversary of the uprising, he came the son of the murderer from the gas chambers. He came to pay tribute to the 250,000 people perished in Sobibor, and I had a talk with him, and he said this is not his fault. He was only 2 years old, and he's not responsible as far as deeds. So I told him, I don't have anything against you, but your mission is to go from state to state in Germany, city to city, and tell the story about Sobibor, what your father's function was in Sobibor. He promised me he's going to do it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you ever followed up on that to see whether or not he fulfilled his promise?
I didn't follow it up yet because I don't know where he is now. He had cancer, maybe he died already.
Oh, is that right? This is an excellent question, the one I thought about. Did you find it hard to keep your faith? You said you grew up in a religious family. Did you find it hard to keep your faith during this period? And did your faith in some way help you through this period?
I had a lengthy answer for this, but I'm not prepared for this. But I can only say this: God did not make the Holocaust. People made the Holocaust. People, they have good people and evil people. And the evil people took over the majority, and they made the Holocaust. I still believe in God. I belong to the synagogue, and I'm still faithful.
Did your faith help you through your months in the camp?
I think my faith helped me because I always think that God will be a miracle. and it will happen, something will happen, some people will escape and tell the world about this place. And we had a miracle that because Sobibor, in Sobibor nobody could escape from Sobibor because this was the only dead camp mine. And if a mine during the night exploded, they took us out from the bed to count us like diamonds. So if we could escape, 200 people escape from Sobibor, this was a big miracle from God.
Last weekend I watched the movie again, Escape from Sobibor, and we chatted a little bit about it before we came here tonight. First of all, it is available for people to see, but can you tell us whether or not it's historically accurate and what your impressions of it?
What I mentioned to you before, the movie Escape from Sobibor was well done, but it's not everything because it's going to be another movie based on my book. The other story I had, my brother was going to poison the personnel in the dining area, in the Gestapo and the Ukrainians. But the movie was 99% was well done. There's one scenery wasn't correspond, but I saw it. There's a group of prisoners were going to be executed, and they had to go take a partner. This was not true, so I protested to the producer that you're falsifying history. This didn't happen. He said, Philip, we invested millions of dollars, we have to have high ratings. And it didn't happen in Sobibor, it happened in other places. So I know all the movies are being doctored a little bit. They make it a little bit. So I went around with them.
So you participated in some advisory way with the movie?
Well, I was a technical advisor to the movie, and the movie was very well done with Alan Arkin. It's very good movie.
Alan Arkin is terrific.
Yeah.
Played a great Jew. Rutger Hauer, we talk about, is not what I would call the epitome of a Russian Jewish soldier, but he did a good job, right? Is your brother still alive?
My brother, I'll tell you the story about my brother. My brother went to Israel. When Israel was established, they took him right away to the army. And I was working in the dental line. I had to finish some dental work, and I was going to go later. He sent me a letter. He said that Philip, in order to preserve the name of Bialowitz, you have to go to America, because if you come there, they take you to the army. The war die, there will be no name left for Bialowitz. So I listened to him, and I went to America. That's the reason. And he died about 5 months ago. He was 102 years old.
Still living in Israel?
I hope I will do the same.
I hope so. You grew up was the town that you grew up in a lot of Jewish people there? What kind of percentage of the Jewish people of the people was Jewish people?
I brought out of the town. My name was the name of my town was Izbica, near the Lublin area, near Majdanek. And there was a thriving Jewish community before the war, with 5,000 Jews, 99% Jewish. And during the war, Izbica became a way station of the Jews from Europe. They go to Belzec and Sobibor. And Izbica could not absorb so many people because we didn't have the sanitary facilities. So people died in the hundreds of typhus, including the doctors. This was a very, all Izbica should be a cemetery. And Izbica was a thriving Jewish community. We had a culture, and we had theaters, we had all kinds of things in Izbica. And Izbica was also a very famous rabbi. His name was Mordechai Yosef. He wrote the Kabbalah. And he was an advisor to kings and to the government. And I was a little boy in Izbica, but I still remember the good things about Izbica.
Just out of curiosity, when in your town that you grew up in, when did you start realizing, obviously there were laws passed, as you said, you couldn't be educated anymore, but when did you first become aware of the fact that there might be some people being sent to the camps?
Well, we knew that this is just a transit place for people. As a matter of fact, a Jewish family from Stuttgart in Germany was assigned. It was in the book, the whole story, but it was assigned to live with us. We were very aristocratic, industrial. We were religious. It took us time till we got adjusted to each other. And also a love story. I have two daughters. One of the daughters was my girlfriend. It was a teenager. So it's, but we knew that this is a matter of time, because the guards told us that the people are sent out, so they're sending him to Bialowitz and to Sobibor. We knew that they knew that death camps. So because my father had a leather factory, and we produced leather for the Germans, so we had a little more time to escape the death camps, because we were protected by the Nazis. Yes. But we knew, everybody knew that Sobibor, that we are sooner or later we're going to go to Bialowitz or Sobibor.
Now, you didn't think it was a labor camp. You thought it was a death camp?
We knew it was a death camp. Yeah.
Were people, so the town was slowly emptied of the Jews in there?
Many of them died, like I mentioned, from typhus, because of the lack of hygiene. And my brother used to go around to give injections against the typhus. And I was a disinfector. I was going to house to disinfect the houses. And they stayed there for a few months, and then they sent them to the gas chambers, and they brought in new people. So Izbica, they told me, it was mentioned in the Wannsee conference, it should be a transit place for the Jews of Europe.
When did you, how did it happen that you were all taken down? The whole family was taken together at one time?
My father, my sister, with these nephews, they were killed before. But we were left, me and two sisters, like I mentioned in my speech, with a 7-year-old niece. And we were till they made Judenstadt. They wanted to get in from the woods, from the partisan, to get them in one place. And we didn't have anything to lose, because we were in the woods, in the forest. Everybody was freezing for the winter. You know, they had wounds all over the body. So we came back to the city. They made Judenstadt, and so they kept us in one place. And when the Warsaw Ghetto uprising took place, they liquidated all the small ghettos.
I see. So your parents and your sister were taken earlier?
Earlier. Me and my two sisters were going to Sobibor later, 1933.
Someone asked the question, is what do you think we should be telling our children in light of people, the deniers of the Holocaust, like Iran, Khomeini?
The main thing is education. Education is the key to a better world. And we have to educate the children into educating in the Holocaust, because in many states in America they teach the Holocaust, not all the states. They teach the Holocaust, and to mention my name, Philip Bialowitz, as a writer of Sobibor. And they have to tell their children and grandchildren, to inspire them and to fight any manifestation of anti-Semitism and hatred all over the world.
This obviously is difficult, but drawing back on your memory, when you first got to Sobibor, you came on a train. Is that correct?
When I came to
Sobibor, you were on a train?
Yeah, no train. They took us with trucks. There weren't enough people to make a transport train. They took us with trucks. And we knew that this is our last destination. But I mentioned, I knew, but at least I will die in peace. I wouldn't have to suffer anymore in the ghettos and hard labor. But at the same time, I was only a teenager. I wanted to live, and I was thinking that I had so many miracles in my life. So maybe I'll have another miracle and I'll escape, and I'll tell the world about this terrible place.
What were your thoughts when you first saw the camp? When you first entered the camp?
When I entered the camp, I said this is we have to be all together, and we have to pray. We have to gather and to make a plan how to escape. Even a few people should escape, because nobody could get out from Sobibor. This was the top secret camp. It was hidden in the forest and the world conscious. Nobody knew about Sobibor. We put Sobibor on the map. So we were very lucky. We had miracles. Like I said, I had many miracles in life.
It definitely was a miracle. Let me ask you this. I had an experience that many people here know about 10 years ago. My wife, my daughter, and I were tied up and held for about an hour, and we had guns pointed at our heads. And that was an hour of terror that I still live all the time. And what I can't imagine, and I've never been able to imagine, I'm 68 years old now, but what I can't imagine is how... 50? Yeah, I wish. A long time ago. But what I've always wondered is, how did you get by on a daily basis knowing what was happening and what could happen to you on any given day? What kind of mindset did you put yourself in and others put themselves in to get by?
I know Sobibor is a place of death. Every day is a challenge to survive, because they rotated the personnel every time. But we still were thinking that a miracle will happen, and maybe some of them will escape and tell the world about the place. We didn't realize, we didn't think that 200 people will escape. We are all praying, only 2-3 people to get out from Sobibor. And we were miracles. All of mine during the war all are full of miracles, you know.
So there was always that hope.
The hope that something will happen. Thank you.
Pull it out a little closer. There was always that hope that you would be able to get out. Then that's what really kept you able to survive.
You still have more?
Oh yeah, we got plenty if you want. Whenever you're tired, you let us know.
No, there's so many questions. I've never had so many questions.
This is a very inquisitive group.
A very
We have a question.
Intellectual group.
Intellectual, yeah. Well, I look around, I see some. How did you solve the language problems with the Russians when you were planning the escape? Someone just asked that question. I think it's an interesting question.
Well, Polish is a little similar to Russian, and
Go ahead. No, let's...
and I managed to to speak a little Russian and Polish, and I came to visit my brother in Lodz, Litzmestadt. A Russian with a red band called me over, that's in Russian. Слушай, пан, иди сюда. Come over, show me your documents. And I had a document, but I'm afraid to give him, he would make me sell a cigarette. I wouldn't have the document anymore. So I said, меня документов нету. Пойдем разберем в комендатуре. We'll go to the commandature and we'll figure out. So I figured if I go with him, I will go to Siberia and I will never come back. My brother wouldn't see me. So I took out my spravka characteristic. I cannot say in Russia. You can somebody can interpret from Russia to English. So I showed him that I was fighting in the partisans with the biggest General Kolpakov, and I survived the war. And he said, you old man, come with the young 500 gram vodka. We should go to him.
Share a little vodka.
I said I'd go with him to vodka, would come back too. So I gave him 100 waters. He should go drink himself. So this was my first experience with the Russians.
Did you think it would have been possible to really organize the escape without the Russian soldiers?
No, I wouldn't be here if not the Russian soldiers, Jewish soldiers, because we didn't have any know-how. We didn't have any experience in the art of warfare.
Could you tell us about some of the people that helped you after you escaped? Some of the Gentiles that may have helped you after the escape?
After the war, I was interviewed by the Good Morning America, Entertainment Tonight. They asked me the same question: how did you manage to live another year till you got liberated? I told them that every day was a challenge to survive. But we were lucky. We met a Polish family, a Catholic family, and they risked their life and heroism. They took us into their barn and they kept us till the liberation. And I always be grateful the rest of my life. When I come every year, the priest comes, and we had a big party together. And they asked me after the war, this would be the opposite. Would you do the same thing? So for a moment I was thinking, I told them, I hope that God would give me the same courage and the heroism that you did to do the same thing. Yes.
So you have seen them, the family, since the war? And
I
the
go
family
there
that hid
every
you
year,
out?
every year I go there,
You do?
and
That's wonderful.
I help them financially, and they always, you remember that they saved my life.
Have they ever been recognized as righteous Gentiles in
Yes,
Yad
they
Vashem?
made Yad Vashem,
They have.
and then they have a tree in Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, and I did everything that I had to do with them. Thank you. Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah, we're not gonna go through, I can already give you, we have a few more. Did any of your other family members survive other than you and your brother? And any aunts, uncles, or cousins?
One brother survived in Russia in 1939, during the war. In 1939 he went to Russia. He was an electrical engineer. He was working in an astronomical institute in Moscow. When the Germans came close to Moscow, they evacuated the institute to Jambu, to Asia. And he survived there. After the war, he came back. He couldn't recognize me. When he left, I was a little boy, and I was grown up. He couldn't recognize me. He died too a few years ago. This is the only member of the family.
That's it. Do you, good question, do you have, I guess, any hatred in your heart toward the peoples that did this to you and your family? How do you feel about that now? Obviously, you know, we can understand that, but I mean, do you live with hate about that?
I condemn only the people, the Nazis, the killers, where they committed the genocide. But there's other people, but they are good people. You know, I have friends in Germany. They have the judge who was on the trial. He took me home to his house. He showed me two of his daughters are in a kibbutz in Israel. So I have many friends in the professional, intellectual, we are in touch. And he even come to America to visit me, the judge. So I worked with a German dentist, doctor. I had some practicing in his office. So I had many friends, but I condemn only the killers and the perpetrators.
Yeah, I think I've read, and that you and I talked about it, but the Ukrainian guards.
Oh, the Ukrainian guards, sometimes they were worse than the Germans. But the beating that they went through with them, it's undescribable. So the Ukrainians, I wouldn't, the Ukrainian Dumyanyuk, like Dumyanyuk, all of them are like Dumyanyuk. So the Ukrainian, I have very bad experiences with them.
I understand that you have a Yiddish song that you have sung before at some of these presentations. I think everybody here might like to hear that if you're willing to do that.
I'm not a professional singer.
I can do that.
It's not a concert, but I'll try to do. It's a Jewish song from Spain. The name is Toledo. In Toledo in ein Gessel, ich will das Gessel nicht vergessen, bei dem Teich, wo sie gesessen, mein Moreno, so vertraut, ihre Augen tief in Jammen, in der Lippen wie die rote Flammen, auf dem Kopf trug sie einen roten Kranz, schön ist sie elegant. Oh, Moreno, wo kannst du sterben, die Nacht in Toledo, wenn du bist mein? Oh, Moreno, ach, wie schön ist die Nacht in Toledo, wenn du bist mein. Oh, Moreno, ich will dich haben, so wie Luft und Bräut. Oh, Moreno, mein Liebe, starke wie der Teut. So ist zu mir ein Reus gegangen, Bis gleich zu stillen die Verlangen, es haben sich entwickelt Klangen, wie der Teichen und hat gestürmt. Das rote Tier hat geflackert, in mein Blut hat in mir gemattert. Es haben sich gebeugen wenn wir beide haben sich bekennt. Oh, Moreno, du kannst so sterben die Nacht in Toledo, wenn du bist mein. Oh, Moreno, ach, wie schön ist die Nacht in Toledo, wenn du bist mein. Oh, Moreno, ich will dich haben, also wie Luft und Bräut. Oh, Moreno, mein lieber, starke Wiedertäu. Thank you.